Now, as a teacher, you design many lessons for your students. Despite this, you are still a human being, so you have an innate drive to teach in a way that no other human being can replicate. So figuring out how to teach uniquely is very important to you. And strangely enough, the first step in this process is making every lesson a revelation about yourself. And the reason for this is very simple. Passion flows from you out to the world. If you don't make the lesson based on your perspective, your passion cannot flow out through your body into the topic that you're discussing and then out and connect with the students. You must teach from your personal perspective. So it's a looking glass into you. You're putting the topic at hand, whether it be science, math, or English, out in front of you, and that's all you're talking about. You're not talking about you, but behind the lesson is you. You're at the center of it all. It's your perspective on the math, the science, or the English. And that's a mystery to the children. The children aren't really curious about the math, science, or English. What they're curious about is you. You're the intrigue, and your perspective on the math, science, or English is what gets their attention. Why? Because they want to know how to create unique revelations about their self and how to teach that to the world. And you're demonstrating that to them through your lesson. The next step is also making revelations about creation while you teach. So the children need to know, how do I work with this world? And it's your job to give inside information into the underlying forces and how to work with those forces in our world. But again, you don't want the children following your understanding about how the world works. Instead, you want them to be able to create their own understanding about how the world works. As you demonstrate your perspective, though, they can start to get an idea of how to create their own perspectives, and that is the value that you bring as a teacher. So although you make every lesson a revelation about yourself and provide these wonderful insights about the created world and how to partner with it, the ultimate end you're going for is a revelation about God. And although many will disagree with this, every lesson has a revelation about God. Even if you don't mention God, that is the revelation. Even if you say God does not exist, that is the revelation, and it's coming from your perspective. Now, one of the things that's hard for us to understand as human beings is that we do not possess absolute truth about God. No two human beings in the entirety of the human race have ever seen God or the absence of God in the same way. And that is what we're supposed to do. We must make our own revelation about God. And children need to understand that their drive to create their own perception of God is correct. They're going to have to do that. They're going to have to create a unique relationship with God or with the absence of God. It's going to be up to them. They can't look to doctrine. They can't look to other teachers. They can't look to you to give them a revelation about God. They must create it for themselves. So as you teach your lesson, you're giving a revelation about yourself, your perceptions of creation, and your perspective on God. But the real intent here is to guide the children, to give them an example onto how to do all this for themselves. You're not going to be there for them the rest of their life to teach them about themselves and you and creation and God. They need to learn how to do that themselves. And by using your lesson as the model, where you're behind the lesson, displaying your creative artistry in the revelations about yourself, creation, and God, you're showing them this is how you teach, because you want them to be teachers just like you. Therefore, a creator's lesson gives a unique perspective on oneself, creation, and God.